What's up, YouTube? We back with another video, baby. And today is day 12 of 90. Day 12 of 90. 520 push-ups. You feel me? Night routine. We're going to play our podcast. We hear a little baby crying in the background. You feel me? It might be some chops and cuts in here. I got my baby. She feeling a little bit under the weather. You feel me? So if we hear her get to crying or something, and you see the video skip a little bit, I mean, I had to take care of dad duties. We ain't gonna make no excuses. We're gonna get all our push-ups done, and we're gonna listen to our podcast. Starting off with the 30 reps. Let's lock in.
Well, we're on a great lesson tonight. We're starting out with personal initiative. And this is a great lesson because it's the action-producing portion of this philosophy. It wouldn't make very much difference whether you understood all of the other principles or not if you didn't do something about it. Now, would it? In other words, the value that you're going to get out of this philosophy will not consist of anything that I will say in these lectures, not consist of anything that I put in my notes, nor anything that's in your lessons, or anything that's in any of my textbooks that you'll be reading. That's important, but the important thing is what you will do about all of this. 29. The action you will take to start using this philosophy on your own personal initiative. Now, there are certain things, certain attributes of initiative and leadership, and I want you to start in and grade yourself on them. And there are 31 of them. I'm going to make comment on the ones that I consider of greatest importance. Incidentally, this is a grading of yourself on these qualities will be the first step toward making those qualities your own. I don't believe that I need to make much comment on number one, on a definite major purpose, because obviously if you don't have an objective in life, a major overall purpose,
28,
you haven't very much personal initiative. And that's one of the most important steps to take, is to find out what it is you want to do. Maybe if you're not sure what you want to do over a lifetime, let's find out what you're going to do this year, the remainder of this year. Let's set our goal not too high perhaps, but and not too far in the distance. If you're in a business or a profession or a job, your definite major purpose certainly could enable you to step up your income from your services, whatever your services may be. And then at the end of the year,
27, you
can review your record and reestablish your definite major purpose and step it up to something bigger, maybe to another one-year plan, or maybe to a 5-year plan. But in other words, that's the starting point of personal initiative, is to find out where you're going and why you're going there, and what you're going to do after you get there, and how much you're going to get out of it financially. You know, the majority of people in this world could be very successful if they would just make up their mind how much success they want and in what terms they want to evaluate success. There are a lot of people in this world who want a good position and plenty of money, but they're not quite sure just what kind of a position or what kind of money, how much money they want, or when they want to get it.
26.
Let's do a little thinking on that subject and grade ourselves on number one. Then on number two, an adequate motive to inspire continuous action in pursuit of the object of one's definite major purpose. Now, study yourself carefully and see if you have an adequate motive. Or motives. It will be very much better if you have more than one motive for wanting to attain the object of your major purpose, whatever that happens to be, or your immediate purpose. You know, ladies and gentlemen, nobody ever does anything without a motive. Well, no, let me restate that. That's not correct. No one outside of the insane asylum or a person who is off balance may do a lot of things without any motive whatsoever, but normal people move only on motive. And the stronger the motive is, the more active they become and the more apt they are to act upon their own personal initiative.
25.
You know, you don't have to have an awful lot of brains in this world. You don't have to be very brilliant. You don't have to have such a wonderful education in order to be an outstanding success if you will only take what little you have, whether it's little or much, and start using it, putting it into operation, doing something about it and with it. And of course, that calls for initiative.
24 next.
And number three, a mastermind alliance. That is to say, friendly cooperation at least, through which to acquire the necessary power for noteworthy achievement. Take the initiative now and find out just how many friends you have that you can call on if you were in need of something in the way of cooperation. Make a list of them. In your notes, make a list of the people that you really and truly could turn to if you needed some favor, if you needed an endorsement, if you needed an introduction, maybe if you needed to make a loan of money. And incidentally, unless you have all the money lying around that you need, the time might come when you need to make a loan. Wouldn't it be very nice to know someone that you could turn to in the case of need and get the money you need? Of course, you can always go to a bank. All you have to do is to give 4-for-1 security, government bonds, and you can get all the money you want.
23.
But there are times when you want medium sums, perhaps, or you want other favors comparable to the borrowing of money, and you need to have somebody, the acquaintance of somebody cultivated so that when you turn to them for favors, you can get them. But above all, if you're aiming at anything above mediocrity, you need to have a mastermind alliance of one or more people beside yourself, who not only will cooperate with you, but who will go out of the way to help you and assist you, and who have the ability to do something that will be of benefit to you. And it's up to you to take the initiative to build those mastermind allies. You know, they don't just come along and join you because you're a good fellow. You have to lay out a plan. You have to have an objective. And you have to find the people suitable to make up your mastermind alliance. 22. And then you have to give them an adequate motive for becoming a mastermind ally of yours. Now, incidentally, I happen to know that the vast majority of people do not have a mastermind alliance with other people. And don't be afraid to grade yourself 0 on this one if you don't have one. But next time you come to grade, don't grade 0. Grade higher than that. And the only way you can grade higher, if you grade 0 now, is to start in and find at least one mastermind ally that you can attach yourself to right now, in the beginning.
21.
Number 4, self-reliance in proportion to the nature of your major purpose. Find out just exactly how much self-reliance you have. Incidentally, when you come to check yourself on self-reliance, you may need some help from other people. You may need some help from your wife, or your husband, or your closest friend, or somebody who knows you real well. You may think you have self-reliance, but do you know how you can tell about how much self-reliance you have? Would you be interested in knowing how you can check that very accurately?
Yeah.
20.
All right, go back up there to number 1 and carefully evaluate your definite major purpose and see just how big that is. Or if you have a definite major purpose. And if you don't have one, or if it's not outstanding and above anything that you've attained up to the present, then you don't have very much self-reliance, and you should grade very low on that. If you have the proper amount of self-reliance, you step your definite major purpose up way beyond anything you have ever achieved before, and you'll become determined to attain it. Number 5, self-discipline sufficient to ensure mastery of the head and the heart and to sustain one's motives until they are realized.
19.
Where and when do you need self-discipline most, do you think? When you're on the way up and when everything's rosy and going well and you're succeeding? Is that when you need it? I thought you'd call me on that one. That's right. You need self-discipline when the going is hard, when the outlook is not favorable. What kind of self-discipline do you need at that point? Why, you need discipline over your mind to the extent that you know where you're going, you know that you have a right to go there, and you know that you're determined to go there regardless of how hard the going may be or how much opposition you may meet with. And you'll need at least enough self-discipline to sustain you through the period when the going is hard instead of quitting or complaining. And number 6, persistence based on the will to win. Do you know how many times the average person has to fail before he quits or decides he wants to do something else?
17.
Once. Don't you think you're generous? Once. Did you ever hear of the fellow who fails before he starts because he knows that there's no use in starting because he knows he can't do a thing? Did you ever hear of him? Well, that cuts it down below 1.
17.
You see? And would you be interested in knowing that the vast majority of people fail before they start? They actually never make a start. They think of things that they might do, but they never do anything about it. And did you know also that a vast majority of the people, even though they do start, at the first opposition, they quit or allow themselves to be diverted over to something else?
16.
I wonder, it just occurs to me to ask a question. I wonder if you who have been here close to me and where we have taken our hair down and talking frankly. I wonder if you know what my outstanding asset it happens to be.
Never give up.
15 next.
Will to win. Well, yeah, you're getting hot. I have persistence and the will to win, and also the self-discipline with which to stick to a thing all the harder when the going is the hardest. Now, that is my outstanding quality. It always has been, it always will be. And I want to tell you, without those traits, I never would have completed this philosophy. I never would have been able to have it introduced as widely as it has been, and I wouldn't be standing here talking to you tonight.
14 next.
And what about that trait? Is that something you're born with, or is it something that you can acquire? Well, if you couldn't acquire it, there'd be no use of talking about this lesson, would there? Certainly you can acquire it. And it's not very difficult at that. What is it that causes a person to be persistent, by the way?
Motive.
Yes, motive. Burning desire. Do you know what a burning desire is?
Yes.
Burning desire, or back of a motive, is what makes people persistent, isn't it?
13.
A burning desire, back of a motive. I never think of persistence and a burning desire that I don't think of my courtship. I remember that I put more persistence and more burning desire back of my courtship than anything else that I ever went into in my life. And I want to tell you, without that, I don't think you get very far in a courtship. Well, don't you think you could transmute that emotion over to something else, putting it back of your business or your profession or your job, and have just as much emotional feeling about attaining success in your job as you could about selling yourself to the one of your choice? Don't you think you could do that? You know what that word transmute means, by the way?
11.
Do you? What does it mean? Fine. Fine. Marvelous. Have you ever tried it on anything or anybody?
Yes.
Marvelous. Marvelous. If you haven't tried it, start trying it. Next time you feel moody or discouraged, try to change that over into an emotion of courage and faith. You see what a marvelous thing happens to you. You change the whole chemistry of your whole brain and your whole body.
10.
And you'll be much more effective. And number 7 is a well-developed faculty of the imagination, controlled and directed. Do you think those last words there are important?
Yes.
Yes, an imagination not controlled and directed might be very dangerous. I
Four
once
sets,
made a
25.
survey, made an analysis of all of the men in the federal penitentiaries of the United States. I did that for the Department of Justice.
First set.
And you'll be interested in knowing that the majority of the men in the penitentiary were there because they had too much imagination. But it was not controlled and directed in a constructive direction. Now, imagination is a marvelous thing, but if you don't have it under control and if you don't direct it to definite ends, constructive ends, it may be very dangerous to you. And number 8, the habit of forming definite and prompt decisions. By the way, do you do that? Do you form definite and prompt decisions when you have all of the facts in hand with which to make decisions?
Yes.
Second set of 25.
Well, I think some of you are just a little bit too modest. Well, seriously, friends, if you do not have the habit of making decisions promptly and definitely, clear-cut decisions, when all of the facts are in, you're loafing on the job, you're procrastinating, and you're destroying this very vital thing called personal initiative. One of the finest places to start practicing personal initiative is to learn to make decisions firmly and definitely and quickly once you have all of the facts available. Now, I'm not talking about snap judgments. I'm not talking about opinions or snap judgments based upon half-baked evidence.
All right. It's our little mini break that we always do. A little talk. Break it down to y'all. We got 50 reps left on the table, man. You ain't feeling too good, go ahead and hit 5 sets of 10. You feeling great, hit 50 straight. Stick it to the routine. 2 sets, 25. Let's finish out these 50 reps.
I'm talking about facts,
Third set.
all of the facts on a given subject, which are not in your hands and available. You should then do something with those facts. You should make up your mind exactly what you're going to do and not dilly-dally around, as so many people do. Because if you do that, first thing you know, you will be in the habit of dilly-dallying around in connection with everything. In other words, you will not be a person who acts upon his own personal initiative.
25 reps left. Finish strong.
And number 9. The habit of basing opinions on facts instead of relying on guesswork. How many of you do that? How many of you rely upon the facts instead of guesswork? Well, pretty truthful bunch, I think.
Another day. Another 520 reps in the books. Day 12. Complete. Boom, out.